Good evening, everyone. It's Monday night. Welcome to the Sports Hounds exclusively on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss a damn thing. We're going all in on football tonight. Flyers and Rangers both have games. We'll get some hockey later on. Looks like the baseball negotiations are heating up. We'll try and get you an update on how that's going. The NBA is in full swing. Sixers, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think the Sixers know what they're doing. Scary time to be a Philadelphia winter sports fan. Flyers have not had not one but two 11-game losing streaks this season. We'll see. Sixers have a good record, but I don't really believe in them. Just wasting away Joel Embiid, not prime of his career. We're a week removed from the super wild card disaster that was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31-15 loss. We're going to talk about the quarterback situation. First, let's tell you about our great sponsors here at A2D Radio. He's our doc. Make him yours too. Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, 2 convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. We're also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 25% off. We're going to have all your comments because, I feel like yesterday we had the rant booth and we had Johnny Coyle and Brad Faust, who's played in this league and is heavily involved still with the NFL, with his equipment duties down in Baltimore. And I think all three of us kind of came to the conclusion that Jalen Hurts he's just not it. He doesn't have the skill set needed to, make a deep run in this league. And I don't even know if he has the skill set. Even if you had a perfect roster around him, I don't think this kid can get you to the promised land. So our poll question tonight, brought to you by All Campus down there in Ocean City, right on the boardwalk between 10th and 11th Street. Come on in every Sunday, 11:30. I'm down there. Johnny Coyle's down there. You never knew who's going to show up on the ramp booth. 11:30 to 1 every Sunday. 20% off for A2D members. Become an A2D member. You get special shout-outs, perks, giveaways, picks from the Money Pop Podcast and Willie Vegas. You get 20% off All Campus as well with that membership. Hat in hand, you get to play some cornhole for up to an additional 40% off. Brad, the poll question tonight is the Eagles should go all in for Russell Wilson. I'm going to kick it to you. So I haven't really heard I kind of know your thoughts on the Eagles and their quarterback position, but I want to know what you would do in this situation.
Hey, if you could get him, I would get him. He's a star in this league. And he makes the other players around him better. I mean, you're never going to get the best out of Devontae Smith with a guy like Jalen Hurts quarterbacking. You're just not. He doesn't have the arm strength. I think I've mentioned this quite a few times. When he does throw, if he tries to throw the ball more than 20 yards, he winds up like a pitcher. All you need is a mound and a rubber, and he's out there pitching the ball instead of throwing it. I mean, you watch a guy like Josh Allen, okay, who is my favorite quarterback. I admit that, but so I'm a little biased. But you watch a guy like him, okay,
favorite
guy he's got a howitzer. I mean, it's unbelievable his arm. He can basically flip the ball 40 yards. I mean, that one pass that he made to Gabriel, the bomb when it was 23 to 14.
The one on 4th down, that was just a bullet.
I'll get to that. I was getting to that one, but the first one, the one when they got down 23-14, and it looked like a time, and he went back. I think on the second play of scrimmage from his own 20-yard line, and he threw the ball to the 5-yard line, where Gabriel caught it and walked into the end zone. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that arm, okay, and then the same thing with Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes just drills the ball in there, and then you look at Hurts, and okay, Hurts can move around and he can do all that stuff, but he's not good enough. He doesn't. A quarterback can only go so far. I mean, you look at probably the best running quarterback in the league, and that's Lamar Jackson. And you look at him, and even he can't win a big game, and he's got a loaded team.
Look, I'm gonna use the Tennessee Titans as an example here. And I don't think it's a big secret if you follow me on social media over the past week that I 1,000% agree to this question. Russell Wilson had 40 touchdown passes in this league not 1 year ago. I know this year didn't really go Seattle's way, and Russ, he missed some games with the finger and the whole thing. But I think you saw that Russ still has a lot in the tank when he spoiled at the Arizona Cardinals party to win the NFC West in Week 18. Diced them up.
Absolutely.
That's a playoff team over there in Arizona. A lot of good players. They can't seem to figure out in the postseason, but a lot of good players, both on that defensive side of the ball there. And Russ diced them up. So Russell Wilson, you're going to get him. Now, the max, I'm not giving up 3 first-round picks. I think that's just crazy talk because I think he does want to leave there, and I think that's going to hurt his value on the market. And Tommy Arnone, I heard your little rant there at the end of the Monday Morning Quarterback with Ryan Brodo. Go download in podcast form if you missed it. They had great stuff. I listened to damn near the whole thing. And we're sort of on the same page, Tom. Like, there is a limit to what I'm willing to give up. Like, I can't give up all my first-round picks for –
No, you can't do that.
But, I'm giving up 15 and 16 for him. Or 15 and 19, 16 and 19, whatever combo I can get away with giving them.
The most I would give him is 2.
So I'll keep 1 because you have extra. You have extra capital this year. And you look at the landscape. Like, we talk about in baseball. Everyone's like, oh, Bryce, I'll use the Bryce Harper example before I get back to my Titans analogy. Bryce Harper. Guys as good as Bryce Harper don't hit the open market. Now, I know that trading is not necessarily the open market, but if you want to get Bryce Harper in your building, you got to give him $330 million, $350 million. I don't even remember what he got off the top of my head. But, you spent $350, but you got the player, and he's the MVP of the league. Russell Wilson, I can make the argument that if he stays in Seattle, he's going to be a top 10 MVP candidate going into next year? He's that good.
He is. Seattle will be a vastly improved team next year, just because he goes into the season healthy if he stays there. And the question is, would Seattle actually trade him though?
Well, if Russ wants to get traded, he's going to get traded. Russ holds the cards, not the Seahawks, and whoever gets him is going to have to be traded. Like, he's going to have to want to come here. He's going to have to go to New York.
He's not a free agent. That is one thing. I know he wants to go to New York. I don't see the Giants making a deal for him right now.
If he wants to force his way out of there, like, he's going to force his way out of there. He's a good enough player to be able to dictate that. So if he wants to leave, he's going to get traded to wherever he wants, whether it's Washington, Pittsburgh, New York, Philadelphia, New Orleans, wherever he wants. The
scary place that he could go would be New England.
New England?
Yeah. That would be scary.
I guess. I look at the Eagles and it's perfect because the Eagles have cap space and the Eagles have 3 first-round picks. The Eagles have the tools to go get them, so go get them.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched Jalen Hurts play football, and I got news for you, folks. And I know it's been like a roller coaster ride with Jalen Hurts. He comes out versus Atlanta. He looks real good, and his stock's real high. Everyone gets all excited. Then all of a sudden you look down, and we're 2-5, and we're firing everybody, and Jalen Hurts stinks. And then they play the dreck of the league, and Jalen Hurts looks kind of good. Not as good as he should have against the dreck of the league. Everyone gets excited. Everyone wants to hang on to this Jalen Hurts narrative that he made the playoffs, and if you build up the team, you're going to be fine. I totally disagree. The Eagles are bringing a knife to a gunfight with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I don't care how good their roster is. Everybody wants to point at Jimmy G and the Niners. Okay, guess what? All Jimmy G does is win. Jimmy G can throw the football. Is Jimmy G the greatest quarterback in the world? No, he's not. No, he's not. Not by any means. Does Jimmy G have a great coach and a great roster around him? Yes, he does. But Jimmy G is Peyton Manning compared to Jalen Hurts in terms of throwing the football and decision making
I
and
would agree.
IQ.
I would agree. And Jimmy
And
G
Brad, I
doesn't
can't get
bad-
past
super
that
badness.
video of Kevin Ross, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive back coach, various players on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the sidelines when it's 31-0, mocking and laughing at our supposed franchise quarterback.
Well, he's not a franchise quarterback. I think
Brad, but
I think
people
after
think he
seeing-
is, Brad.
Huh?
People think he is.
Okay, if we watched the playoffs this weekend, okay, we saw what a franchise quarterback is. Okay, you look at Cincinnati, Joe Burrow is a franchise quarterback.
Correct.
Okay, you look at Derek Carr out in Vegas. Okay, he is a franchise quarterback.
I agree.
Okay, you look at Josh Allen. He is a franchise quarterback. You look at Patrick Mahomes. He's a franchise
Big
quarterback.
time.
Okay. You look in the NFC.
Brady,
You see Matt Stafford. He is a franchise quarterback. Okay. Tom Brady is a franchise quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a franchise quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is more of a game manager. But Jimmy Garoppolo is a very, very smart player, and he never, ever, ever turns the ball over. So that's the other thing with him. He's not going to make the big mistake. So you look at all these guys, and then you look at a guy like Hurts, and there's one thing that he doesn't have that all these other guys do have, and that's big arms. All the guys we just finished mentioning have big arms. Even Brady still has a real strong arm. I mean, it's not as strong as it used to be, but his accuracy is so good that it doesn't even matter.
And you look like let's leave the physical attributes like arm strength out of it. How about from a football IQ standpoint? Like how far behind is Jalen Hurts from a football standpoint than Jimmy Garoppolo, then Mahomes, Allen, Brady, Stafford, all these guys?
The problem is, Rob, he can't read defenses. That's the problem. I mean, he has open receivers, and he's not passing to open receivers. And it's not, every quarterback has one or two times where they'll have a game where they'll have a wide open receiver and they may not see him. That happens, especially if it's on the other side of the field. But with Jalen Hurts, it's almost every play. I mean, and that just can't happen, especially against good teams. I mean, yeah, you'll beat teams like the Jets and the Giants and the Lions and the Texans and the garbage teams with him. That's not the problem. But that's if you're trying to win a championship, I don't think he's the guy that's going to bring you there. I think he might bring you to the outskirts of the playoffs. I don't think he's going to win a playoff game against a good team. Unless he gets lucky and plays a team that's under 500 in the playoffs. I don't see how that's going to happen. What's his record against teams with winning records? 1-9.
It was 0-7 this year.
Okay, and I think last year it was one. He beat.
They beat the Saints. They were pretty good.
Yeah, they were good, and he may have beaten somebody. I think that's the only time he's ever beaten a team that was over 500. I mean, it is what it is. He doesn't beat good teams. And I don't think it's going to change with him. And the reason I don't think so is because you can't teach arm strength.
Michael Pasuki, sorry if you pronounce your name wrong. I don't think the Birds have enough weapons, even with Wilson. After watching this weekend, they're so far behind this level of talent. Okay, but you win 9. You win 9 with Hurts. You get Wilson in here, and that's the guy I want. I think he's the crown jewel of the offseason, more so than Deshaun Watson and more so than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I disagree with that. Aaron Rodgers is still really good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he didn't have a great game against San Francisco, but I mean, there's a reason why that happened. And that I think Kreider scored another goal, by the way. There's a reason why that happened, and that's because it was Kreider. There's a reason why it happened because the snow definitely affected his play and the receivers, and it ended up being a game where the better running team was going to win. And the one thing we know about the 49ers is If it's a game of running and finding one receiver, a close-in receiver, the 49ers are better than the Packers in that department. They can throw the ball to George Kittle almost at will. Even if he's not covered, he's going to catch the ball because he's just so tough in that big body and his strength and everything. And that's kind of the issue. And they're a better running team than the Packers. Let's be honest. They run the ball and they don't give up on the run. And even when they got in field goal range late, they basically did run the ball for the most part to get the ball down the field to get into field goal range.
Yeah, Jimmy made 3 throws at the end of the game on that final drive.
They were all completed passes.
Correct. Then to the talent here in Philadelphia, like,
you got some talent on your team.
I think this fan base is really underestimating the roster. I really do. Is it a Chiefs roster or a Bills roster? No, but you have a good offensive line. Devontae Smith catches 100 balls with Russell Wilson as his quarterback.
I agree with you.
And Dallas Goedert would thrive with Russell Wilson. So there's 2 weapons right there. And he's going to elevate Quez, and maybe you get another guy in the draft, because I'm giving 15 and 16 for Russ at most. I still have 19, 51, 84, and probably enough cap space for a couple, kind of mid-level guys mid-level guys in free agency.
And to be honest with you, Rob, if you can get a couple of mid-level guys who are decent nickelbacks who can cover receivers, I think that would be a big help.
Big time.
I thought that the problem with the Eagles was basically, especially against good teams that could throw the ball, was that their secondary just wasn't good. They were able to get sacks. I mean, they put pressure on the quarterback.
Brad, I listen to social media, and I feel like this team doesn't need 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense. There's pieces here.
No.
There's pieces here. Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey.
You don't have to go out and get a
Jordan Mailata. These are great football players. Fletcher Cox, is he what he once was? No, but he's still a good football player. Josh Sweat is a good football player. He was sorely missed against Tampa in the playoff game, dealing with whatever he had going on. He had to miss the game. Davion Taylor, he was playing well until he got hurt. You have Darius Slay, who should have been an All-Pro, got robbed. So, for people to sit here and tell me that the cupboard is completely bare here in Philadelphia, I'm not buying that at all.
Fair. It's not.
I'm really not.
It's not fair. Okay.
9 wins with Jalen Hurts, who stinks.
I know what a bare cupboard is. Okay, I'm a Giant fan. I know what a bare cupboard is, and we have a bare cupboard. You do not have a bare cupboard. You've got some players there. You got some building blocks. Again, I don't think you need stars in your secondary. I just think you need good role players, guys who can play their roles.
You need a safety. You need a safety. You need a backer, linebacker.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
You need a receiver.
You don't have to get the best guys in the league at any of those positions. You just have to get a good functioning player.
So my pick is 19. The Eagles' original pick is 19. I have 15.
You can get a real good. If you draft. You could draft a real good linebacker or a real good safety at 19. You can get one of the best ones.
And then Howie is coming off his best draft in years, maybe ever, last year, because he picked SEC guys and killed it.
He stuck to the Ryer Brinkman school of drafting, which is stay there. If you have to get out of there, you can go to the Big Ten, but don't go anywhere else.
Brian Daly, I disagree to the poll. I think they need to utilize their picks, especially with 3 firsts, build up the team, find your franchise guy within the next year. Okay, Brian, I hear you. And I'm doing a flip because I've been advocating for until I watched Jalen Hurts just totally choke away that playoff game. And that's why the Eagles lost that playoff game. Some people want to blame Jonathan Gannon. Some people want to blame Nick Sirianni, the defense, the defensive scheme, whatever. The game was over before it started because Jalen Hurts just can't hack it in this league at that level.
When you can't look at it that you can beat the bad teams. You have to look at it as like this, okay? Can you play Kansas City and go throw for throw with Kansas City or Buffalo, okay? Or for that matter, right now the Packers or Seattle when they have Russ. or Tampa if Brady comes back, you can't do it, and that's the whole thing. And remember, it's not about getting walloped in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, it's nice to make the playoffs. I'm not saying that, but you want to win. You want to at least get yourself in the top four. You want to be playing. You want to be playing yesterday's schedule. Okay, where it's 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 4. That you want to get to that level. You don't want to be not playing the second seed as a 7 team. You just don't want to put yourself in that position. It's too hard. It's too hard to do that because then you're playing on the road every game, and that's just too. And you're playing against good teams on the road. You're not playing against bad teams. And that just makes it all the tougher.
Bill Middlebrook, if you can package Wilson and Metcalf together along with Smith and our O-line, I think Wilson would be okay coming to Philly all day long. Look, of all the teams that need quarterbacks, I think the Eagles are the most equipped to go get one because of all their capital and all their assets. And, I think the Eagles are better than Washington. I think they're better than New Orleans.
Oh, Washington is not good.
All these teams need quarterbacks. Carolina needs a quarterback. I think the Eagles have more pieces to win, make a run with Russ than the Broncos do. The Carolina does. The only team that would worry me is that if the Colts got a hold of them, because that's a ready-made roster and Carson's just a loser, and the Giants can just outbid everyone because you have 2 picks in the top 10.
Well, the other thing with the Giants is they want to be near New York, and that's an advantage. That's definitely an advantage. But the Giants are not going to give up both their first-round picks for Russ. That would be stupid. Why would they do that? I mean, if they're going to do that, if I were the Giants right now, I wouldn't get Russ. I would just take those 2 picks, get yourself a real good offensive lineman, and get yourself a real good defensive lineman. Get yourself an edge rusher in those positions, and there are real quality at 5 and 8.
But you look at the Giants, that's a bare cupboard. They stink.
Oh, I agree.
They have no coach. I know they just hired their GM.
Well, we'll see. We'll see
whoever that guy is. I don't really know much about him, but that's a bare cupboard. That's a team where you say, no, I can't trade 5 and 7 or give up a bunch of capital for Russell Wilson because I still stink even with Russell. The Eagles do not. The
Giants, but listen, Rob, as far as the Giants are concerned, the Giants defense is pretty good. They've got plenty of good players on their defense. That was not, but the problem is their offense was historically bad this year. And that's a problem. And you have your top running back coming back from a bad injury. Okay. And he didn't really look all that good. He looked good the last game of the season, but he really didn't look all that good at all. Their offensive line is horrible. And, there are a lot of questions about the quarterback. The receivers, didn't really flourish this year. You could blame that on the quarterback situation too. So really the offense is the problem. The defense to me is pretty good. And after when they get their guys back, that, guys like Blake Martinez, guys like that who they really, really missed. I think their defense will be okay. It was okay this year. Their defense did a pretty good job this year. Just that their offense was so bad, they were on the field the whole game. And by the middle of the third quarter, they were tanked. They were gassed. There was nothing there. There was, they couldn't stop anybody anymore. It got to that point every game. I mean, you saw it in the second game against the Eagles. The Giants defense did a nice job in the first half, but the Eagles were on the field the whole game. And eventually they were done. They can't be on the field the whole game and have such ineptitude at quarterback.
Now, here's Chad Carroll checking us out on Facebook. Hurts will grow. Hurts will be our franchise quarterback. He's going to grow. Based on what? Chad, what do you see that I don't see in Jalen Hurts? He's going to grow. What does that mean? Grow into what?
Chad. How's Lamar done? How's Lamar doing? Has Lamar ever won a playoff game?
I think he won a couple.
I think he did beat the Titans. Okay, he did win one. But my point is Lamar with a team that had a lot more talent than the Ravens. What did he do? I mean, and his arm is not as good as Lamar's. And Lamar, even though Lamar is not the most accurate guy in the world, he's still got more accuracy than Jalen Hurts.
Like
So
I want. Let me ask you this, Brad. Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill. Do you think Jalen Hurts could ever develop into as good a quarterback as Ryan Tannehill is right now? My answer is no.
I don't think Tannehill's all that good, to be honest with you. But I mean, I'm not a fan of Tannehill. I've seen enough of him to safely say that I'm not a big fan of his. But he does possess some talent. He's an okay passer. So I mean, but he also has Derrick Henry.
How much better of a quarterback is Ryan Tannehill than Jalen Hurts?
Right now, he's much better.
Okay, so you got to the divisional round of the playoffs. We just talked about it. That's where the big boys play, right? Mahomes, Allen, Stafford, Brady, the whole deal. Burrow. So the Tennessee Titans go in as the 1 seed, right? Pretty good defense. Excellent head coach. Pretty good offensive line. Derrick Henry and Deontay Foreman are a dynamic running attack. You have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones at wide receiver. And they couldn't get it done because Ryan Tannehill just didn't belong. He was the odd man out. The Cincinnati Bengals won because they had Joe Burrow. And that's it. Because everything went...
Well, don't forget Chase. He kind of has
It's a quarterback lead. It's a quarterback league.
I understand, but I mean, Chase doesn't hurt either. Having
no, not at all. And they have a good team over there in Cincinnati. I actually think they're going to go to the Super Bowl to preview our early leans later in the show. But, you had everything go right for the Tennessee Titans. Good roster, good situation. You're at home. You break an NFL record with 9 sacks, and you still couldn't get it done because Ryan Tannehill isn't good enough to hack it in the divisional round. And there's no way Jalen Hurts is ever going to develop into as good a quarterback as Ryan Tannehill. So you're telling me he's going to grow, Chad, and he's going to be a franchise quarterback. Like, what do you see that I don't? Does he have elite arm strength? No. Can he read defenses? No. Like, he can run around and people like him, but okay. I'll go to practice and work hard. I can endear myself to a locker room. Does that mean I can be the quarterback? No, because I'm not talented enough. Jalen Hurts isn't talented enough.
If he had Minshew's arm, that would be different. But I mean,
Minshew, he's got a water pistol too, but he can anticipate. Like, he throws guys open. He can read defenses.
Yeah, but he's got a pretty decent arm. I mean, he's not doesn't have a noodle arm like Hurts does, but.
So I want all the Hurts supporters out there. I want Hurts supporters to explain to me what I'm missing.
I must be
because this guy's he can't hack it. I'll guarantee you this. I don't care how good an offseason today. If you don't get a quarterback in here that can read a defense and throw the football, the Eagles, because Brad, half the playoff teams that made it this year aren't going to make it next year. There's 50% turnover, right? I guarantee you, if Jalen Hurts is the Eagles starting quarterback week 1 next year, the Eagles will fall into that 50% quota that doesn't repeat going to the playoffs. If you get me a Russ, if you get me Derek Carr, I want Russ because he's the best one. And I think it's pretty obvious that he's probably not going to be on Seattle next year.
I agree. I agree about that, but Derek Carr wouldn't be a bad fit either.
I don't understand why Vegas is looking to move on from Derek Carr.
I don't either. Well, all he does is throw touchdown passes. I mean, he's a good quarterback.
Every first round pick, every first round guy Mayock brought in and Gruden brought in. I mean, they go to jail and they're not there.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Jake Friedel. So Chad Corral, all the other Hurts supporters out there, I know they're out there because they want to make up every excuse in the book about how it wasn't Jalen Hurts' fault that he can't throw the football and he can't read defenses. And it's not Jalen Hurts' fault that we have 0 points through 3 quarters in Tampa in a playoff game. That's fine. Point out to me what I'm missing with Jalen Hurts. The guy can't hack it. It's clear as day.
Bottom line, you take a look at Tampa Bay yesterday, and they were missing arguably their best offensive lineman in Tristan Wirfs. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the Rams were all over Brady, yet he still pulled off one of the great comebacks of all time. I know the Rams made a lot of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes.
A ridiculous number of mistakes. But the bottom line is Brady still was able to get the ball in the end zone.
I hear you.
Against a very good defense. I mean, that's not easy.
Jake Friel, you'd have to sign Russell Wilson to a new deal if you trade for him. Okay, fine. I have Howie Roseman, the cap wizard that he is, Howie Roseman. Okay?
So they'll find.
I have confidence that Howie Roseman, the cap wizard, Howie Roseman, will find the money to make Russell Wilson happy financially and make it not hamstring the Philadelphia Eagles so you can surround Russ with some guys.
Rob, if you have to cut,
I'm not worried about that at all.
If you have to cut a couple of players, you'll do it.
Like the Eagles, they're going to cut Brandon Brooks, I would imagine. That's going to free up some money, and maybe you can.
Two guys. Derek Barnett, as far as I'm concerned, I think you could get rid of him.
Yeah, but he's a free agent, so he's
okay. So you got rid of him then. So
I don't know. Maybe you trade Miles Sanders. I don't know, but there's ways to do it. Look, restructure Fletcher Cox.
If they want him badly enough, okay, then they'll make the trade. Yeah, I don't know what Jeffrey Lurie is thinking. I don't know what Howie's thinking. I don't know what your coach is thinking, Sirianni, either. Who knows? We don't know. We don't really have access to that, so we don't really know what they're thinking. I would agree if you put Russ in there, you could definitely win the division. It's not going to be as easy this year to make the playoffs as it was last year because you are going to be playing some better talent because you're the second seed, so you're going to have a tougher schedule.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where all these quarterbacks end up, but like our second place AFC draw is the Steelers. I have no idea who is going to be the single call there.
I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be there. The quarterback from Pittsburgh.
Pickett? Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I have a funny feeling they're going to find a way to get him if they have to trade up, but that would make a lot of sense. I think that crowd would embrace him. He'd embrace going to Pittsburgh. I think that's a match made in heaven, but we'll see. He's not going to be the first pick of the draft, that's for sure.
Rodney Watt, linebacker, DN, cornerback, safety. If Hurts stinks in 2022, we move on 2023 and draft a guy. Then you're just restarting the cycle. Look, Rodney, my man, like quarterbacks like this, like Russ and Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, they're not available. Ever.
No.
So not only is there one legit franchise quarterback available this offseason, there's 3 of them. And the whole league needs a quarterback except for, 8, 10 teams? So
right.
If I'm looking at this roster and I'm looking at this quarterback position and I got a guy who clearly can't cut it and I have these 3 monsters that are in my grasp, I got to go get one. Why do you want to string Jalen Hurts? Why do you want to string this fan base, this franchise along for another year with a guy who can't hack it? Am I supposed to expect Jalen Hurts is going to show up to training camp in August and have this howitzer rocket of an arm and be just a tactician at reading defenses and making accurate throws?
His arm isn't going to get better, but the they're reading the defense. That can improve. There's no reason to think that can't improve.
Maybe marginally, but this is the pros, man. The time to improve at reading defenses is at the high school and the college level. Once you get to the pros and you still don't know how to read defenses, I don't know how far you can come in that. Pork chops. Vic was I'm not reading that. James Rusum. No, he's not. Stop it. Laughing my Hurts will grow. Laughing my how with what proof? How does Hurts have fan? I don't understand that comment, James, but why? Why do you think he can grow? What do you see in Jalen Hurts that I don't see? I see a quarterback with a water pistol of an arm who's not smart enough to play quarterback at a high level. And from a football IQ standpoint, not smart enough to play quarterback at a high level in the NFL. can't read defenses to the ability necessary to win big football games in the NFL. He can't. Tom Arnold says it all the time. If you can't stand in the pocket and make 20 throws in a game, you can't be a franchise quarterback. There's no way on earth anybody in this chat, anyone, anywhere, can convince me that Jalen Hurts all of a sudden in one offseason is going to be a guy that's going to be able to stand in the pocket and complete 15, 20, 25 passes in a football game to win a big game against a quality opponent. Bill Middlebrook, you ready for this? Could you imagine if the Colts, with Jonathan Taylor, their defense and receivers, moving on from Carson and getting Rodgers? I think that's a very real possibility, Bill. I think Rodgers is going to be on the Steelers or he's going to be on the Colts.
Oh, boy. If he goes in the Colts, that would be a major
legitimate
problem.
Favorites. And that makes it even easier for the Eagles because that now you got Rodgers, you got Mahomes,
out of the NFC.
And you got Allen all in the AFC.
Yep.
And that's true if he goes to the Steelers, too. I think there's a big-time respect between Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. So I think that's something to watch as well. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to Carolina or Washington or the Giants or the Eagles. We'll see with Watson. I mean, I don't know what's going on with his legal situation.
Well, that's the one thing that has to be ironed out. But the thing with Deshaun Watson is that because of the legal issues, I think that you might be able to get him for a little less.
NX75 Gaming. That's my sentiment right there. Checking us out on YouTube. James played football for 10 years and hasn't changed yet. What makes everyone think he's going to flip a switch and be accurate, throw with anticipation, and have a stronger arm? For me, nothing. That's why I'm moving on. Look, if you want to keep Jalen Hurts around because he's a good locker room guy, you want to be the backup quarterback, and you want to make different sub packages for him, okay. I think Seattle's going to probably want him in the trade for Russell Wilson.
Well,
they don't. I don't know.
Unless they have one. They have one in mind.
I don't know. I don't think they have a. I think Geno Smith is their backup, right? So you're not starting Geno Smith if you move on from Russ. You're getting 15 and 16, so maybe there's a guy in the draft that they like.
Yeah. Well, don't forget now, Seattle doesn't have any picks. They
traded him for Jamal Adams. They should have the 10th pick.
Yeah. They ended up giving the Jets the 10th pick. So.
Bryce thinks Hurts can get better at reading defense, but the arm is the issue. Yeah, but Bryce, he's so bad at reading defenses. Like, if you don't have a rocket arm, you can't be average at reading defenses. You can't be average at anticipation throws. You got to be top-notch at reading defenses and making decisions and having a good football IQ because you need to make up for your lack of arm strength somewhere. Right. And I don't think he can hack it. I just don't think Jalen Hurts can hack it. And I think it's just a huge waste of time to just string both your head coach, who you brought in, Nick Sirianni, your fan base, the other players in the locker room, to string this guy along for another year when it's pretty obvious he can't hack it at a big-time level in this league. Can he go out and kick over tomato cans? Jake Fromm's of the world? Taylor Heineke, yeah, he can do that, sure. But when it's nut cutting time in the postseason, that's what you're going to see, is what you saw against Tampa.
I mean, the other thing. I mean, look, San Diego beat him, and San Diego didn't make the playoffs. The Giants beat them a game, and they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, there are problems, and Jalen Hurts, if there's even the slightest wind, has problems. I mean, you can't get around that. I don't know how you fix that. We're in the Northeast football. You're going to have bad weather in November, in December, in playoff games.
And Mr. Wing, he's checked us out. I agree, Hurts isn't good enough, but I just don't trust the quarterbacks coming out. I assume that means he's in the draft. Mr. Wing also chimes in, why would Wilson want to come to the Eagles and deal with Roseman and the Eagles' toxic fan base? Look, if Russ wants out of Seattle and he wants to come east because of the New York factor, there's only so many teams that can, A, afford Russell Wilson, which the Eagles are one of, and B, have the assets necessary to trade for a Russell Wilson, which the Eagles also have.
Well, the Jets have assets to do that too. I mean, they have
But
three.
Like the Jets just picked Wilson, and
yeah, but they can give them their quarterback as one, and then give them a couple of draft picks. I mean,
Zach Wilson in 10 for Russell Wilson,
right?
I mean, whatever. I mean, if I'm Russ, because you heard Aaron Rodgers after the Green Bay loss to San Fran, I don't want to be part of a rebuild, which is fine. I agree with you. I wouldn't be wanting to be a part of a rebuild if I'm Aaron Rodgers either when I'm 30 years old. I wouldn't want to be a part of a rebuild if I'm Russell Wilson at 33, 34 years old, whatever he is in that range. So, I think the fans need to relax, take a chill pill, realize that does this roster have holes here in Philadelphia? Yes, it does. But they also have legitimate players at a lot of really key positions. Like you need a pass rusher, yeah. You need a linebacker, yeah. But, you have an all-pro corner in Slay. 3/5 of your offensive line is Pro Bowl, all-pro level with Mailata, Kelsey, and Lane Johnson. And the Eagles always seem to find guards because they have Jeff Stoutland, who's the best offensive line coach in the league. You have Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Those guys explode from a production standpoint with a quarterback like Russ. And you led the league in rushing. You can still run.
Hurts is a part of that. I mean, you got to give him credit for that.
Russ runs around too. He can run.
Yeah, but you don't really want Russ to run that much. You don't want him running the ball.
Look, I think the Eagles
15 times a game though. Hurts does run the ball a lot.
Look, I get you. Like Hurts, I mean, he had almost 800 yards receiving. Like that's not anything to sneeze at, especially from the quarterback position. But I attribute more of the Eagles' run production and leading the league in rushing to an elite offensive line, which played really good, and they love run blocking. And Landon Dickerson, so you have 4/5 of an offensive line because Landon Dickerson, he looks like a pretty good player. I know he's not an all-pro guy or a Pro Bowl guy yet, but we'll see. So you have left side of the line, Dickerson, Mailata, center and Kelsey. Hopefully he comes back. And Lane Johnson at right tackle. That's 80% of your offensive line. That's pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
So, like, this cupboard, I don't think is as bare as Eagles fans make it out to be. And I know it sucks. We lost 31-0. We got totally outclassed. We were 31-15, but we're down 31-0. They only got 15 points because Tampa let their foot off the gas. But, we stink. We can't contend. Like, yeah, you put Russ. I guarantee you if Russell Wilson was the Eagles quarterback on Super Wildcard Weekend, they're not down 31-0.
No, I would agree with that.
And who knows? Like, you make a couple you got a couple plays in that game just broke the Eagles back. The interception before half was killer. He missed Quez on a post. This is Hurts, by the way. Beloved Jalen Hurts, who's apparently just going to.
But again, I think more of their problem is their defense and their secondary and their linebackers. I think that's a problem.
I mean, Bill Middlebrook. I made plenty of excuses for Hurts, even if he doesn't progress and hits the weights. It's still going to take 3 years, kind of like Allen. You trade him now. What teams will take a chance? Done with them. I mean, to compare Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen is ridiculous. Josh Allen is what, 6'4"?
Who's comparing Jalen Hurts to Rod?
Because it took Allen a little bit of time to figure it out, but Allen had the skill set to develop into what he's developed in.
Allen just had to learn to stop always running and use that incredible arm of his. That's all. He's got
maybe the strongest arm in the league, Josh Allen. He's what? He's 6'4", 250.
Right.
And the kid's a hoss.
And he also runs like the wind.
So
I'll tell you what, that if you saw, I thought the most impressive pass he threw last night, Rob, and he threw some real impressive ones. The most impressive play he made was the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, because he had the touch. He's got the touch throws.
He had nobody to throw to. He had guys all over him. He ran all over the damn field. Then he ran all across the field, all the way to the other side, to the left side, and was able to throw a touch pass to who was it that caught that pass? I can't remember who caught the.
I think it was Dig, the 2-pointer.
Was it Diggs?
I think Diggs. I think that's like the only catch that he had on the day because
Yeah, he
Gabriel
didn't.
Davis had 8 catches for
Yeah,
200 yards and
Gabriel
4
Diggs
touchdowns.
was ridiculous yesterday. But I mean, you can't compare him to Josh Allen. Josh Allen has probably the strongest arm in the league. I mean, the only guy that I can think of that's as arm strength wise that's even close to him is Mahomes. But other than Mahomes, I mean, I don't think anybody can throw the ball.
I mean, we got Jinx 951. He doesn't want Wilson. Like, okay, what's your plan at quarterback? Are you a Hurts guy? Do you like one of these guys in the draft? So I spent all morning looking at draft stocks and draft stuff for the quarterbacks. And guess what? You know what I concluded? I think there's 3 quarterbacks that would start week 1 next year in this year's draft. That would be an upgrade over Jalen Hurts. That's Pickett from Pittsburgh, Malik Willis from Liberty, even though I'm not crazy about building my team around a guy from Liberty.
Well, I wouldn't trust that. But listen, Phil Simms came from Morehead State, so I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, but Malik Willis has an arm, and he can run. So that's a skill set, Brad, that I can try to develop. He doesn't have the skill set. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the skill set.
The scary part is he played with Liberty. Who did he play against? You know, that's the problem.
So, and then I think Carson Strong out of Nevada, who's big and strong and has a really strong arm. All 3 of those guys have better skill sets than Jalen Hurts. Those are guys that I can get in my building and develop like Josh Allen developed in Buffalo. I'm not saying those 3 guys are going to develop into Josh Allen, but they have the skill set to maybe be Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the skill set to be Josh Allen.
No, he can't throw the ball like that.
Mr. Wayne problem is they have no trade clauses. The Eagles aren't a destination point. I mean, I don't understand why not. I don't understand why not.
I don't know. I mean, again, that's something. As far as a destination point, I don't. It's hard to say what other teams think. What other teams think of the players think of the Eagle organization. So that's a tough one. I don't really know what.
I mean, what I see objectively looking at the Eagles organization is a team that's made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years with a championship.
True, but I think they're more looking. I think they're more looking at the last couple of years because what happened 3 years ago. What happened 3, 4, 5 years ago, it really doesn't have a lot to do with what's going on.
I mean, 2017, you win the Super Bowl. 2018, you go to the divisional round, you lose to New Orleans because Alshon Jeffrey dropped the ball. 2019,
the only reason they won a playoff the playoff game is because Parkey double doinked it.
He missed
like a field goal.
I mean, okay,
it happened.
Not my fault, not my problem. No, not my fault, not my problem with the Eagles playing the NFC East.
I'm not
my fault, not my problem. The Eagles don't have to go through Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen every year. Not my fault, not my problem.
Nope. But
like I don't understand Mr. Wing's narrative that the Eagles are like a toxic destination for one of these 3 marquee guys that are potentially available.
We don't know what these other guys think of Philadelphia. That's the thing. I don't know.
But like if you want to get out, like Russ wants to get out, reportedly.
Right.
Like, it's not baseball.
If I had my choice of places to go, I think I'd want to go to Indy. That would be choice number 1.
Okay, can Indy afford them? Indy doesn't have a first-round pick.
Then probably
the Eagles have it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So yeah, Russell Wilson, trade me to Indy. Like, let's go. Hey, good coach, Frank Reich. They got Jonathan Taylor, great line, good defense. They get me instead of Carson. Like, we're going. Okay, that's great. Now you got to pick up the phone. The GM's got to pick up the phone. They got to agree on a deal. Okay. Well, I don't really have a first-round pick to give you for Russ. Okay. They have Carson.
But if Russ doesn't want to go there, he's not going to go there. All I'm saying is it's in Russ's hands more. And you said at the beginning of the show, and it's true. It's kind of more in Russ's hand. Where does Russ want to go? That's kind of more the question. Look,
where does Aaron want to go? Where does Aaron Rodgers want to go?
I don't know.
There's no way he'd go back to Green Bay after that. No shot.
Why?
I just think he's done there. I think he's been done there since they picked Jordan Love. And I
Jordan
don't know.
Love
Aaron Rodgers, he kind of
showed nothing though. He showed nothing this year.
yeah. Well, Aaron's pissed because they should have got him another offensive lineman or a running back or a receiver or a defensive guy.
Suppose they do that this year.
I think the ship is sailed there with Green Bay. I think the relationship's burnt. And let's not forget, Brad, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a dick,
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I thought he was a free agent this year. Aaron Rodgers.
He might be. I have to look it up. No, because I know it's like a $46 million cap hit next year for him.
Oh, okay. Then he's got one more year then.
I think so.
Okay. All right.
But there's Thomas Arnone. We Don. He wants
he's
to
a
know
$46 million cap hit. What would he be? What kind of a cap hit would he be if you traded for him?
Well, that's where you got to say, hey, we'll trade for it if you want to play. If he wants to play for Denver or Philadelphia or Carolina or wherever.
Listen,
he's gonna have to shift. He's gonna have to shift his money around.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think anybody in the league can take on a $46 million cap hit.
He's a weird guy. Who knows?
He's different. Yeah, he's a little bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's different. I could see him not doing stuff that doesn't make sense because I think he's a little off center, if you know what I mean. So who knows where he wants to go?
Yeah, he brings politics into everything, and There, Tom Arnone asked you, Brad, do you think the Giants should go all in for Russell Wilson? I'll let you.
No, absolutely not.
But the cupboard's bare there,
Offensively, it's bare. They got some good defensive pieces. There's no question about that. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that they've got to fix their offensive line first, and fix and get themselves an edge rusher. I mean, an edge rusher basically would kind of complete the defense because I think the defense is pretty solid. But they need to fix that offensive line. If they could fix that offensive line, then they'll be ready to go. But you're not going to bring in a quarterback this year. I think next offseason is a better year for them to go bring in a quarterback than this year. Plus, I would like to see Daniel Jones, what he looks like with a decent offensive line. Offensive line. I would like to see that. I wouldn't go, if I were the Giants, I wouldn't go all in. I mean, you have to be realistic. I mean, yeah, I'd love to have him. I'd love to watch him play quarterback for the New York Giants. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that that's best for the organization right now.
Mr. Wayne Drewbury said it took 3 years to read a defense. Mahomes said 3 years until he read defenses. Okay.
It took Mahomes 3 years to read defenses. What are you talking about?
But
who said that? That's crazy.
Mr. Wing said Mahomes said
no,
that. I don't remember. I don't remember hearing that. But you can learn on the job when you have a skill set like Patrick Mahomes. Look, the NFL and drafting prospects and developing prospects, you got to look at the skill set. It's skill set. It's not how nice of a guy you are and how much people like you and how popular you are.
Look at Mac Jones. Okay, Mac Jones was pretty good this year.
He was okay, yeah.
Now, listen, for a rookie, and I thought he played pretty well. I mean,
but don't you see though? Like, yeah, Mac Jones doesn't have a howitzer like Josh Allen or Mahomes, but Mac Jones can stand in the pocket, make good decisions.
He doesn't have a weak arm though. He doesn't have enough weapons. I mean, other than Jacoby Myers, he really has no other receivers to throw to. Bill will fix that most likely.
Don 19, thank God Aaron Rodgers is leaving. Yeah, it's pretty good for your Lions. And if Aaron Rodgers does leave the Packers, which I think is inevitable, the NFC East, NFC East, Brad, plays the NFC North next year. So you're going to play Packers without Aaron Rodgers, the Lions who are a work in progress. Sorry, Don, but they are. The Vikings, Vikings are okay, and the Bears are.
Yeah, but so do you guys, and so does Washington, and so does Dallas.
Right, and then you play the AFC South as well.
So there's two very winnable games in there, and then there's two games that they'll probably lose.
I don't know that. Yeah. Who's the quarterback? Who's going to be the quarterback of the Colts next year?
We
They're
don't know
pissed
yet.
at Wentz.
Well, I don't think the Giants are good enough to beat the Colts, even if Wentz plays.
Oh, you're talking about the Giants. Okay, I'm talking about from just like let's pump the brakes because everyone wants to get all excited and up. Oh, you're gonna play a second place schedule. Let's relax and look at it. The opponents are out. I read them yesterday on the rant booth. We might have read them here last week as well. Your second place draw.
You're going to play the Steelers, and you're going to play.
Which nobody knows who their quarterback's going to be.
No, you're going to play the Steelers, and then you're going to play who's
the Cardinals.
I mean, you're going to play the Cardinals,
right?
Okay, so and there's one other one that they're going to play. I'm trying to remember who was second. Who finished second in the NFC South? The Saints, probably.
Yes, I think we play the Saints again.
Yeah, so
which seems like we seem to play the Saints every year.
Yeah,
we seem to beat them every year.
Yeah, this year you beat them without Kamara though, and without their number one quarterback. So
not my fault, not my problem.
Yeah, but you weren't as good as the Saints though. That's the
it's the Saints.
No, they say but not when they have
so
guys.
You got
the Giants beat the Saints too, but
So
just saying.
So you got here. I got it right here. So the Eagles, they got. I don't want to get into a whole schedule thing like this early in the season, but you obviously play the division. That's 6-year games. Packers, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Titans are pretty good. Jaguars are a work in progress. Saints, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Steelers, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Those are your home games. Road games are Bears, work in progress. Lions, work in progress. Colts, good team. Texans, work in progress. Cardinals, good team. That's like murderer's row as a second place schedule.
No,
I don't know. It could be way worse. I mean, you played the AFC West this year, pretty good division.
Got killed in the AFC West,
right? You drew the Niners on a last place schedule. That was a raw deal. The
AFC. Listen, the NFC West was a very good division.
Look at all the quarterbacks in the AFC West.
No, the NFC West I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you got, the second best team in that division on a last place schedule. So it can work against you. So you don't know.
No, you don't.
Bobby DeCrecco.
It's really hard. It's hard to really say with schedules right now. We don't know what other teams are going to do with the offseason. So until the offseason settled, until the draft and free agency are done, it's really kind of hard to make judgments about certain teams. You just don't know.
Carlos Morris. Hurts' stats are equivalent to Russell Wilson's stats this year, and he is younger, and Jalen Hurts' stats are better than Russ' first year as a starter. I mean, listen, Carlos.
Okay, Russell Wilson also missed, 7 games this year?
I think he only missed 3 or 4 when it was all said and done.
Oh, okay. But he missed a lot. He missed a lot of games.
Look, if you're going to sit here and tell me, I don't care about stats. I watch the games. These peepers right here, these are all the only talent evaluators I need. And if you want to sit here and tell me that because of stats or analytics.
The stats on him are bullshit because he was a stat patter at the end of games when the Eagles were getting destroyed. So that doesn't really count.
Couldn't agree more.
He was great at garbage time, but when he was great, the Eagles were way behind. So that doesn't really hold up. And you know what? You know why they were a running team? Because they were a running team because they couldn't win passing the ball. And that narrative kind of has to change.
So if you want to sit here and you want to tell me that you Jalen Hurts is Russell Wilson, I mean, God bless your soul. I don't see it. I don't see what tangible evidence you can present to me that could make me think that this guy is going to be Russell Wilson. And because they're both short and they can run.
Do you really think their offense is going to improve that much if he's going to continue to be the quarterback? How much improvement do you expect? Yeah, are they still going to beat a good team?
I mean, Mr. Wilson, he says Wilson would block a trade to Philadelphia. Why? Why? You won 9 games with Jalen Hurts, who's a hack.
I don't know. First of all, where is he? Does he really want to play for the Giants? Is that what he really wants? Because I'd be surprised if that happens.
I think you could get these good quarterbacks, Brad. They play until they're 40, and it's not really that big of a deal. They can't get hit.
I understand that, but
so I'm giving up 15 and 16 for Russ. I think I can get 5 good years out of Russ.
Suppose the Giants gave up number 5 or number 8. They may not. They would definitely have.
The Giants are pretty much the only team that can outbid the Eagles. But you got to get Russ to say, okay, I'll go be in a rebuild for 2 years with the Giants while they fix everything up for him. Whereas in Philadelphia, it's more of a plug and play, and you're, maybe not a contender in terms of the Super Bowl, but I bet you if the Eagles had Russell Wilson, I bet you they win a playoff game next year. I think you'll see the how good.
Who in the NFC would they beat this year? If you're talking about this off of this year's teams, there's nobody in the NFC that's in the playoffs they would have beaten, or the AFC for that matter.
I hear you. There's some good teams at the top of the NFC. I get it.
Yeah, the NFC, the top teams are really good.
But Brad, Jalen Hurts left a lot of plays on the field in Tampa in the playoff game. He left a lot of plays on the field.
This is true.
With a competent quarterback.
When Tristan Wirfs was playing, they couldn't stop Tampa Bay at all. It wasn't until he got hurt and had to get taken out of the game that the Eagles defense were able to stop him.
We don't know. I'm talking about offense right now. But with a competent quarterback, that's a 17-10, 17-14 game at half.
Okay.
And then who knows? Because Wirfs did get hurt and he missed, and the defense played better, and it got different. Like the game plan changed. They adjusted.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's 17-10 at halftime? What happens?
You take a look at the team that Tampa Bay put out yesterday, okay, which had almost all their top players in there. The Eagles aren't in that class. They're not in the same class as the Rams either. That's for sure. Not yet, anyway. They still have a long way to go.
Pete Evans, check Pete out on Birds of a Feather right here.
If they get Russ, and again, that's a big if, but if they can get him, then we'll see. Certainly there's an opportunity. You can listen, if you make the tournament, you have a fighting chance. That's why they play the games.
Pete Evans.
A lot of people didn't expect them to beat San Francisco to beat the Green Bay. They weren't favored in the game against Dallas either.
Pete Evans, check him out on Birds of a Feather every Thursday here on A2D Radio. He agrees to the poll. Joseph Orkowski, Russ stunk this year with 2 elite wide receivers before and after the injury. Why give 2 or more first-round picks to a declining player? He doesn't even scramble anymore, which was his biggest strength. Look, this league's all about finding a franchise quarterback. If you don't have one, you're looking for one. And if you have one, you're trying to hold on to him for as long as you can and ride that train as long as you can. Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is still very much a legitimate franchise quarterback. Like, it's an anomaly that one franchise quarterback is available this offseason, let alone 3, which I think 3 legitimately are, maybe even more than 3, depending on what happens with Derek Carr and Jimmy G out in San Francisco. I wouldn't call Jimmy G a franchise guy, but he's a significant upgrade over Jalen Hurts. And I would still give pick 51 for Jimmy G all day long and twice on Sunday. But for you to have Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, 3 legitimate franchise quarterbacks available in an offseason where you have 3 first-round picks and cap space, that's like a gift from the gods, right? This is why you get all these assets. You know,
I agree with you. You know that's
it's all about getting the quarterback. I can find
the
it.
only
I
thing I
can
would
find
say
a
is,
stud linebacker in the 4th round. I
yeah,
can't
well,
find like it's very different. I'm not saying it can't happen because Russ went in the 3rd round, Brady went in the 6th round, the whole thing. You know, but like it's very difficult to find a franchise quarterback in the 4th round. I can get me a linebacker in the 4th round that can play right away. I can get me an edge rusher in the 4th round, a corner, a safety, an interior offensive lineman, whatever.
An edge rusher in the 4th round.
You're more likely to get an edge rusher in the 4th round than a quarterback.
Well, Dallas got Dak Prescott in the 4th round.
I mean, if you want to point out every anomaly, I mean, okay, but
no, I'm just saying, you know, edge rusher, I would disagree. Safety, linebacker, yeah, you can definitely do that. No question about that. But no, the most difficult position to fill is quarterback. And finding a franchise quarterback is very difficult.
Mr. Wing brings up Malik Willis, a guy in the draft. Now, I don't like that he's from Liberty. I've said that a good bajillion times on these airwaves, but he has a better skill set than Jalen Hurts. Kenny Pickett has a better skill set than Jalen Hurts. Carson Strong from Nevada has a better skill set than Jalen Hurts.
And you know what? At least one of them will be available to you.
Now that doesn't mean that they're going to be great franchise quarterbacks. But when I have 3 first-round picks and pick 51, and I have Jalen Hurts, stinky Jalen Hurts as my quarterback who's not a franchise guy, and I can grab me someone like Pickett, like Willis, like Strong, who have skill sets that I can work with to mold that clay into a franchise quarterback, I'm doing that. You know?
Listen, if you can get him, if you can get Russell Wilson, you go out and get him.
Joseph Orkowski, Carson Wentz had a good arm, and the Colts are thinking of dumping him. Bring back Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. He has a better skill set. He has more tools to succeed in this league than Jalen Hurts. The problem with Carson Wentz is somewhere along the way, his brain was compromised, and he doesn't have the mental makeup to be an NFL franchise quarterback. But physically, he can make all the throws. He's athletic.
Skills.
But, you know, his brain's broken. But he's a better quarterback. Like, if the Colts called me up and say, yeah, we'll give you Carson back for Jalen Hurts straight up, I'm doing that trade. Because Carson Wentz has a better skill set and has more tools to be a franchise quarterback in this league than Jalen Hurts. I just have to somehow fix Carson's brain. Bobby DeCriccio. Okay, let me ask you all, the Hurts fans. Do you believe Jalen Hurts can win the division and win more games than Dak Prescott in the next 5 years? If you say no, there's your answer. No, but Dallas has a pretty good roster down there. Dallas just sucks and can never figure it out, and they choke every year. So, like, Dak is good. You know, they have good running games. CeeDee Lamb's a beast. They have a good offensive line. Parsons, Diggs, pretty good, some good pieces on defense. But if you get me Russell Wilson and a franchise quarterback, that gap between Dallas and Philadelphia at the top of the division is almost moot. Like, it's almost a dead heat even race, in my opinion. That's if you just add Russ. You're going to do other stuff too. Dallas is going to do other stuff too. So, you know, we'll see. The Angry Bear, he likes Malik Willis. Okay. Look, if you don't get Russ, like, I'm and like, it's not up to me. It's up to Howie. But if Howie and the scouts and Sirianni and whoever is in charge of making that decision, if they fall in love with a guy, you got 3 first-round picks. You don't have a franchise quarterback. If you fall in love with a guy and you think you can grab your first-round pick, one of your first-round picks, grab Pickett, Willis, whoever, Carson Strong, if you think you can mold them into a franchise quarterback, you got to pick them. You got to pick them. No quarterback in this class is a first-round talent. Now, strictly on that fact of the position, one one or two might go in the first. I mean, Jinx
Yeah, they're gonna have 2 quarterbacks at least going.
I mean, I don't know that. Like let's see the Senior Bowl. Let's see the Combine. Let's see what happens when teams start talking to these guys with personal workouts and interviews. To say Kenny Pickett doesn't have a professional skill set, to say Malik Willis doesn't have a professional skill set, I think is ludicrous.
Well,
because both those guys do.
We don't know that. They certainly look to have the.
They have size, strength, big arms. Can I get them in my building? Can I teach them how to read a defense?
We did say that about Josh Rosen too, so you never know.
Right. Just because you have the skill set to be a successful professional doesn't mean you're going to be a professional.
Right.
A successful professional. That's why, handicapping these draft picks and scouting talent is extremely hard. That's why Tom Brady goes in the 6th round. Dak goes in the 4th. Russ goes in the 3rd. It's also why you miss. It's also why Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf are 2 of the biggest busts in NFL history. Guys who looked great, had all the skills, but it didn't work. The Angry Barrel Willis transferred from Auburn to Liberty to play. See, I don't like that either because, I hear you. Good for him. Clearly he had the pedigree to get, scooped up in the recruiting, the recruiting mess by Auburn. So, that's good. But, I mean, why couldn't he get on the field? I know because he went there with Bo Nix. But Bo Nix wasn't that good. So I would have liked, if he was good enough to get recruited by Auburn, I would have liked to see him stay at Auburn and take Bo Nix's job. Because Malik Willis is at Auburn. If I watch turn on his YouTube highlights and it's an Auburn jersey and not a Liberty jersey, I'm trading the 3 first-round picks to go up and get him. But, he is from Liberty. And he transferred. He shied away from competition at Auburn because he couldn't beat out Bo Nix, and Bo Nix wasn't even that good. So that concerns me. But if you look at his arm strength and his size and his speed, he can maybe do something for you. I feel more. I think Malik Willis has a better chance to blossom into a franchise quarterback than Jalen Hurts does. I think Carson Strong has a better chance as well. So does Kenny Pickett. So if you don't get Russ, then we're looking at the draft, and with one of my 3 first-round picks, I just need a quarterback. I need a quarterback. I can't do it with Jalen Hurts, Brad. I can't do it anymore. I can't string him along.
Do you think that the Eagles agree with that?
I think that Nick Sirianni doesn't want to run the ball 40 times a game. He's a receiver. His whole family was receivers. He wants to throw the ball.
Yeah, so but with the way the team is put together with this roster, they're better off running. As long as you have this quarterback.
Because of the quarterback. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So,
and that's why I give Nick Sirianni all the credit in the world for going away from his strategy and adopting a strategy that was best for the team. Not a lot of coaches would do that. A lot of coaches would just jam the square peg in the round hole and go 4-12.
My question is this, okay? The Eagles, a lot of their better players are not getting any younger. So I think that they've got to do something vastly improve their team. Because I could see regression next year if they keep the team basically the same. I mean, I think that there's no question about that because they know how to. Tampa Bay showed the whole world how to beat the Eagles, and it really was no different than how the Chargers did it, and how the Niners did it, and how the Chiefs did it. How all the good teams managed to do it, and that is that the Eagles' defense is awful, and if you can stack up if you get them ahead so that they can't run the ball, and they're forced to throw, they're not going to win. And unless they do something, they could regress next year because there'll be more teams stacking the box and daring Hurts to beat them.
Blue City Empire Sports breaking news. The Giants are about to have their second interview with a Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, tomorrow for their head coaching
Well,
job.
I think that's pretty much. I think it's going to either be him or Flores. I think that's pretty much between those two. I mean, I would not mind. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind either one of them. To tell you the truth, I think that they would both be good. I can't. I like Buffalo's offense. I like how they developed Josh Allen.
But is Daboll true? But like, is Daboll look like a good offense? Is Brian Daboll, is he a good offensive coordinator because he's a good offensive coordinator, or does he look like a good offensive coordinator because Josh Allen is a stud?
I mean, listen, they did almost lead the league in points. I mean, they had a pretty good. They have.
Can he duplicate his development of Josh Allen with Daniel Jones or a draft pick or whatever the Giants decide to do with the quarterback position for next year?
We don't know that. All we know is what they've been able to do so far. You know that. Look, I don't think it's a bad bringing guys in from Buffalo. To me, is not a bad choice. I mean, look, the team had a hell of a defense last year. They scored this past season. They scored a ton of points. They took the Chiefs into overtime. You know, they were 13 seconds away from becoming a team playing in the championship round. I think these guys know how to coach a winning team. So let's see what happens if they can get themselves these two guys. Let's see if they can work out and get some good young talent onto the team. First thing that they have to start doing is they've got to go out and get themselves a good offensive lineman. That has to happen.
Carlos Morris, Howie, and Nick said multiple times that Jalen Hurts is our QB, so maybe you should go to another team. I mean, yeah, because coaches and GMs always tell the truth in the offseason. Like, grow up, Carlos. Like, if they can get Russell Wilson or an upgrade over Jalen Hurts, they're going to do that. Then, do you think they're just going to box themselves in because they said in a stupid press conference postseason a league obligation? Because if it wasn't league obligated, they wouldn't say anything. They have to do that after the season, so they did that. They asked him the question. They said he's the quarterback, but if they can upgrade the position, they're going to do that.
Look, and it may be apples and oranges, but I'm going to look at another sport and bring it into this. Okay, the Sixers coach Rivers, to me, made a big mistake by saying that Ben Simmons may not be the point guard next year.
Huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Should have said, "I have full faith in Ben Simmons." Blah 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 blah, and kept your business inside your clubhouse, okay, or in the locker room, or whatever you want to call it, okay. What the Eagles said, that was the smart thing to say. Is yeah, he's our quarterback, and just leave it alone. And you know what? Because once you put it out there that he's not your quarterback, you're going to end up having to make panic trades, and you don't want to do that. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that you can get the best player available. You know, and you don't want to tip your hand, and that's what they would have been doing.
Yeah, Tom Arnone. Yeah, he's out on Rodgers. I'm kind of out on Rodgers too, to be honest with you. I don't get it with Aaron Rodgers. He's got all this talent. He's got 3 MVP awards, but Green Bay 7-7 in their last 14 home playoff games. Rodgers has been there forever. The lion's share of that is Rodgers. I mean, it's too many playoff losses at home. I mean,
yeah, he hasn't been able to put it together in the playoffs.
He played stinky. He played really, and I know it was tough. It was really cold, and it was snowing. I get all that, but I mean,
well, bottom line though,
if you're Aaron Rodgers, you got to put up more than 10 points.
I know, but you know what though? It should have been 13 points. I mean, if the field goal doesn't get blocked and the punt doesn't get blocked, which should never happen, and Rodgers has nothing to do with that. So, but But again, and that was the point I've been making about Rodgers and about Green Bay, is that you got to do better than 10 points. I know San Francisco has a good defense, but with all the players they have on their offense, they should be able to do better. And I know the weather was really bad. I get that. I get that. But Green Bay has played in bad weather before. I mean, they should be used to it by now. I mean, it didn't happen. For whatever reason, it didn't happen.
I mean, Glizzy's checking this out on YouTube. Give Hurts one more year. If not, get Bryce Young. You don't have the capital. Like, you have to stink to get Bryce Young next year. He's going to be a top 5 pick. There's a couple guys in the draft next year that are probably slated to be top 5 picks. The Eagles aren't going to be that bad.
No.
Like, this is the year you make the move. And I'm totally against kicking the can down the road with this draft capital and maybe trading for next year's first-round picks with these first-round picks. I've seen that idea floated out there as well, and I'm not doing that at all. That's a total cop-out, in my opinion. So, like, you have the assets and the cap space now. I can't worry about next year's draft because even if I go to battle with Jalen Hurts next year, which I think would be a mistake, a huge mistake, and you're not going to go anywhere. Like, you're not going 3-13 or 3-14, whatever you're not going to have, like, maybe you'll be at the top, like the Denver Broncos, where you have a decent roster but no quarterback, and they're picking what, like 10th or 11th this year?
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to move up. You're not going to have the capital. You have the capital and you have the cap space now, and you have 3 legitimate franchise quarterbacks out there, for the taking, and Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is just a slam dunk, no-brainer. I think he's got 5 years left in the tank, 4 years, 5 years left in the tank. And, I'm trading my extra 2 first-round picks for Russ. Time is now to get a quarterback. Hurts ain't it. Not next year.
The only question is, does he want to come to Philly? And that we don't really know the answer to that.
Well, if you don't want to come here, then he's probably going to stay in Seattle. Because if you don't want to come to Philly, I can't imagine he's going to want to play for the Giants.
You never know, Rob.
I guess you never know.
If his wife wants to play there, then, I mean, Wayne Gretzky got traded from Edmonton to Los Angeles, and he could have won 1 million Stanley Cups if he stayed in Edmonton. So, I mean, you never know.
Wasn't there money issues there?
No, his wife was a actress and a model, and she wanted him to go to Hollywood, so they negotiated a trade. That was all his wife, Janet Jones.
Carlos Marsh, I only listen to the guy with the hat because the other guy said Mac Jones was good, and Bill Belichick actually went a game throwing the ball 3 times.
That game was a little different. Okay,
60-mile-an-hour
wind. So come on. And
I'm not the biggest Mac Jones guy.
I'm not either. I'm just saying Mac Jones was pretty good for a rookie.
And we'll see how he develops.
He has a better skill set than Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
He's much better.
Correct. Does that mean he's going to be a better player? Does that mean he's going to be the second coming of Tom Brady and win? Keep the torch going up there in New England? No.
All I said was he was a pretty good.
I totally agree with you. Mac Jones has more skills to be a franchise quarterback in this league than Jalen Hurts. Not a single person in the chat will be complaining about Russ after the trade's complete. Wilson makes you a contender immediately. I agree, Bobby. I agree. You won 9 with a stink hole Jalen Hurts, who's nowhere close to a franchise quarterback. And this roster doesn't stink in Philadelphia. I know that's the popular thing because Doug got fired and he won 4 games. He ended up with the 6th pick in the draft. This is not a bare cupboard here in Philadelphia. Eagles aren't a contender with Wilson from Mr. Wing. I don't agree.
I think they're better with Russell Wilson. I think the Eagles I do think the Eagles have to do some upgrading to improve this year, because I think that the whole league is going to be on to what they do, and we'll be ready to stop them next year. So I do think that they're going to have to improve their passing game one way or another.
You need to win one extra game to be a double-digit win team. So I think if you win 10 games with 7 playoff teams in the NFC,
you should be able to get in.
You're
you
in.
Should be able to get in.
You win 10 games, you're in. You go 10-7, you're in. They went 9-8. So you're telling me you bring in Russell Wilson and you don't do anything else? We'll just freeze it. You make one move, it's Russell Wilson. They don't win one extra game next year?
They should.
That's what you're telling me. That's what teams are telling me, that the Eagles aren't contenders by just adding Russell Wilson. I totally disagree.
They're not going to win a championship, though. It's going to take a lot more than that.
Probably not, but I've seen stranger things happen.
Probably? You think you're going to say probably? Like they could actually play with the Rams, the Bucks, or the Packers if they keep Rodgers? Come on, Rob. Even if they get Russell Wilson, they're not beating any of those teams.
I mean, the Packers.
It's going to take a lot more than that for them to get to that point.
I mean, the Packers. I'm not scared of the Packers, even with Aaron Rodgers. They choke in the playoffs every year.
They would destroy the Eagles. The Eagles couldn't play with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Come on.
I mean, I'm not disputing that the Eagles.
They were 14-3. Okay, yeah, they lost to San Francisco, but San Francisco's defense is 100 times better than the Eagles.
Yeah, and we got to see what the Eagles do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but you're saying if they just add him and nothing else, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're not going.
I think that football game down in Tampa a couple weeks ago is mightily different with Russell Wilson under center as opposed to Jalen Hurts. Do they win? I don't know.
They're not winning the game.
But if you won that game, then you go to Lambeau.
Okay, and you're gonna win in Lambeau with that defense?
I mean, everyone and their sister seems to win in Lambeau in January. So why not? Why can't I win if I get Russell Wilson?
Usually the teams that win in Lambeau end up winning the Super Bowl too.
I mean, okay.
So that's something that usually happens. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
I get it.
You're going to need to make a lot more moves than just your quarterback. You're going to have to vastly improve your defense. Now, there are obviously some things that can happen in the NFC if Brady retires, if Aaron Rodgers leaves, if Russell Wilson comes to you guys. Obviously, that would make two teams a lot worse. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready to give up on Aaron Rodgers. Listen, if Aaron Rodgers came to the Giants, I wouldn't mind that. I'd be happy with that. I mean, how much longer he can play is anyone's guess, but I would take him in a minute. But it's not going to make him. It's not going to make them champions. They need a lot more than just Aaron Rodgers. Just like the Eagles need a lot more than just Russell Wilson. That's not going to make them champions. I mean, the idea is not to get destroyed in the first round of the playoffs. The idea is to try to win the Super Bowl, or at least get there. And they're miles away right now. There's a lot of things that have to change. You know, there's some old players on the team that are not as good as they used to be, and they're not going to get any better, most likely. So we'll see. We'll see if some of the younger guys on the offensive line.
I don't know. I'm strong. I'm strong in the trenches. I need a receiver. I need a linebacker. I need an edge rusher.
Are you really? You had to go out and get the guy from Washington, who was over the hill.
Who, Kerrigan?
Yeah. You needed to get him.
Well, yeah, I'm going to lose Barnett because Barnett stinks, and I'm not paying him. So you got to replace that. And then Josh Sweat is paid like a starter.
He's pretty good. He's not an old pro.
I have 3 pretty good defensive tackles, one of which is a rookie in Milton Williams.
He's okay. He's not great.
I mean, not yet.
You know.
Well, Landon Dickerson was my second-round pick last year. It looks like I have a dominant left side of my offensive line. They're both young.
Okay, and Lane Johnson misses a lot of games. We'll see about him.
Yeah, but Lane Johnson doesn't miss games because of injury. He misses games because he's depressed. Has mental health issues.
Okay, so he's got
Look, when Lane Johnson's on the field, he's one of the best tackles in the whole league.
Last year he missed time too.
He missed time. He missed 3 games. When he was on the field, he was a Pro Bowler. Nobody. Yes, he was. Look at the stats.
He wasn't a Pro Bowl.
He let up like 3. He let up like 3 hurries the whole season and no sacks. Pretty elite.
I have the statistics in front of him. He wasn't an All-Pro last
Kelsey,
year.
all he does is get older, and he ages like fine wine.
Is he going to play? Keep hearing retirement, so just wondering what's going on there.
If he wants to play, he can play.
He can play, but again, he's going to be a year older, and he's no spring chicken right now.
Okay, until I see him fall off a cliff, I'm going to expect him to be a good player,
and
a serviceable starter.
They have a god-awful secondary. Other than Darius Slay, the rest of their secondary is terrible. Every franchise quarterback that they played tore them apart this year. They had no clue against a good quarterback this year. I mean, the only teams they beat were the Daniel Joneses of the world and the Taylors of the world and those guys. They didn't beat any good quarterbacks this year.
All right, let's move on. We've been doing 90 minutes on the Eagles. Let's move on to some big picture NFL stuff. Probably the greatest playoff weekend in NFL playoff history. Absolutely. Every game was a walk-off. Good for this. I'll start with them in chronological order. Saturday afternoon. I actually listened to a lot of this game on the radio because I was at work. Sounded like a good one. And obviously I watched the highlights after, but if that game doesn't prove to you that this is a quarterback league, then I don't know what does.
You're talking about the
Bengals and Titans. Because
yeah.
Everything went right for the Titans. Right?
Their defense for the most part played a really good game.
And you hold Burrow down, like Jamar Chase didn't torch you, Boyd didn't torch you, Higgins didn't torch you. You kind of held Mixon in check. And they still couldn't get it done because Ryan Tannehill gave the game away.
And they sacked him 9 times.
NFL playoff record, 9 sacks.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe Burrow.
How much intestinal fortitude do you think Joe Burrow has to take 9 sacks? And he was probably really hurting by the end of that game, and yet he still gets up and has enough left in the tank to pull that game out.
He kept his composure. He didn't get frustrated.
He didn't make any panic plays. And Ryan Tannehill just made a horrible pass. That's basically what caused him. He made
3 turnovers to 1 turnover.
You can't. No, he had 3 interceptions. So I mean, you can't. You just can't do that. Now
the
in
Bengals.
You can't do that and expect to win a playoff game. Yeah, unless you're the Rams and you have a 27-3 lead, and then you have a miracle win after blowing a 27-3 lead.
And then, they're going to go to the AFC Championship game. They're going to go to Arrowhead because the Sunday night you had just an epic quarterback duel.
And the last team to get the ball won. And
what's your take on the overtime rules? There's a lot of bitching and moaning that the overtime rules.
I think that rule has to change.
You do.
I think they need to. I think that they need to adopt a, top of the first, bottom of the first type of situation in the playoffs. I think during the season everything is fine. You can do that during the season. You don't want these teams playing too long, and football is a tough sport. You don't want regular season games going on forever. But when it comes to the playoffs, you have to let both teams get the ball. That's just I don't care if they score a touchdown. Big deal. It should be like college. You have the top of the first and the bottom of the first. I mean, let me ask you a question because this probably proves my point better than anything else. What would you think in baseball if you went to extra innings and whoever scored first won? In other words, if your Phillies were the home team, okay, and the Mets came in and it's 2-2, and the Mets score a run in the top of the 10th, they automatically win. How would you? Or
like the game. The game. It's an interesting analogy, Brad.
Okay, or here's another one: hockey shootout. Okay, I hate shootouts, but you know what? Let's say you're in a shootout. Okay, the team that shoots first, if the guy scores, they win because they scored. How do you exactly account for that? It's an old antiquated rule. They don't want to change. Goodell seems to want to change everything else, but something that really matters, like something like that. I think Buffalo, they
I don't like the college. I don't like the college. The college thing is gimmicky.
Well,
I don't really like that.
I'm not saying the 25 have the ball in the 25-yard line.
Okay.
I don't like that at all. I understand why they do it because they don't want these kids getting beat up too much. I get that, but in the pros, okay.
So, what do you think? You just play like a 10-minute quarter?
No, you have the top of the first, bottom of the first, top of the second, bottom of the second. That's it. And if you don't match or
I do think it's super silly that like a field goal the game goes on and a touchdown the game's over. I think that's silly.
No, it is, or a safety and the game's over. I mean, that's a safety the game should be over because you lose the ball. So that part, the safety, yes, but you know what? A touchdown or a field goal, you should be able to get the ball and try to match it. I mean, that's the whole point.
But I mean, in this situation, it's hard for me to feel bad for Buffalo. It really is because they had
Buffalo made some clown moves in the last 13 seconds.
Brad, all they have to do is squib kick and they win.
I know that. Or just play better defense. I mean, I know that their defense was completely worn out in the at the end. They were definitely tired and they were cooked. Kansas City's defense was also cooked though. So if you think that if Buffalo got the ball, do you not think that Buffalo would have scored? Because I think Buffalo would have marched right down the field.
Absolutely. I agree.
Buffalo scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the game when they got the ball. In between a touchdown by Kansas City. I mean, they scored a touchdown in 1 minute with 1 timeout. And they went 80 yards. 75 yards. And they marched right down the field. So it's not like Kansas City's defense was doing anything either. But you got to be able to let both teams have the ball. I mean, I felt the same way when New England and Kansas City played 3 years ago in the championship game. When they were in Kansas City and Brady got the touchdown and Mahomes didn't get a chance to go out there. I think it's ridiculous. It's not playing the game. The game isn't being played right. And I gave you 2 really good examples in other sports of how it should be. And the only thing that I've ever heard that makes a little sense again, as far as the con is, well, what about the extra point? Well, you know what? If you want to make sure that you don't lose, then hit a 2-point conversion. Otherwise,
how about no, you gotta go for 2.
You could do that too. You could do that.
Make sure that this thing doesn't go.
Okay, but you could do that
all night.
You could do that too. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Field goals are fine. You can kick a field goal if you want to, and get a stop. But if you score a touchdown, you gotta go for 2.
I mean, I think that that's a really good rule. I think that the con that I just gave you, as far as pros and cons, I think you just fix that up really neatly. I agree with that, and that's really what they should do. I don't like it. I hate seeing that one team doesn't get a chance to get the ball. I don't like that. Not in the playoffs. In the regular season, yes, because again, it's a safety thing. You don't want to be playing too many minutes, but once you get to playing for all the marbles, these guys play 17 games plus 3 preseason games, or is it 2 now? I can't even remember. Was it 2 or 3 preseason games?
I think it's down to 2.
Okay,
so 3. Who knows?
Yeah, whatever. Let's say it's 3. You're playing 20 games, okay, to get to the playoffs before you get to the playoffs. Okay, these guys work their asses off to play, and to not get a chance. To me, because of a stupid rule like that, just to me doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. I just don't.
And 3:00 Sunday, the Bengals are going to travel to Arrowhead Make this part of our early leans. The Bengals are a 7-point underdog. Brad, I like the Bengals here. I do. I think Kansas City is coming off an emotional win at home in overtime. I think there could be a little bit of a letdown. I think Andy Reid's record at home and championship games speaks for itself. I know he has Patrick Mahomes and they have a really good team, but I think the
Bengals players, or because that's a big.
What's that?
That's a big factor right there. Is the Honey Badger playing?
He left with a concussion. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but, I mean that's a huge. That to me, that could be the difference.
Joe Burrow, I think, is a bad man. I think he's a cool customer.
You saw, look, and I'm not taking anything away from Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. I love Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, make no bones about it. I've always liked Buffalo. Even when I was a kid, I liked Buffalo. But let's be honest, okay? Without the Honey Badger in there, their defense is not the same. And if Kansas City has to play that game without him, I don't know if they're going to beat Cincinnati. So taking the points, if you hear that he's out, that he doesn't get out of concussion protocol.
I love it. It's plus 250 on the money line, which I like, and I'm definitely taking a touchdown.
Yeah, no, the points are definitely.
And they're going to be talking all week about how great Mahomes is and how great the Chiefs are, and I think Joe Burrow
is great, and
has control of this locker room, and I think that they go in there. I think they shock the world. I think the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl.
How does the Bengals defense match up against Kansas City?
Well, does any defense match up good against Kansas City's defense or offense?
Tampa Bay did last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be their downfall, maybe, the Bengals, because they let up the most sacks in the league. So that's something that they let up 9 sacks last week to Tennessee.
Well, I think Tennessee's defense is a little bit better than Kansas City.
I agree with that.
Their offense. Listen, the Chiefs' offense is fantastic. They're going to put up a lot of points, but the Bengals can definitely put up some points too. And
I think
their offense may be a little bit more well-rounded than Kansas City if you look at the running game, because they have Mixon to run the ball, and I'm not all that impressed with Kansas City's running game. But again, when you have Mahomes, sometimes it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have a great running game when you have Mahomes. You just have to basically run the football.
I mean, Mahomes, it's 70 yards and a touchdown. He led the team yesterday.
Yeah, well, and Josh Allen's done that a million times for Buffalo. So it's not that it can't happen, but they do have a big time, and we're talking about Cincinnati. They have a big time running back in Joe Mixon, and that's going to be a major factor.
So, I mean, I like the Bengals. I like the Bengals in a stunner. Speaking of stunners, we'll go shift to the NFC now. Brad, there's very few games where I've just been absolutely stunned afterwards and had my scratching my head and asking myself, how did that just happen? How did the San Francisco 49ers go into Lambeau and beat the big bad Aaron Rodgers without scoring an offensive touchdown? Blows my mind. You get a block punt for a touchdown, you kick 2 field goals, and there you go to the NFC Championship game. I was shocked when the Eagles lost to Tampa in 2001 in that NFC Championship game. I thought the Eagles were a loaded team. I thought they were going to go.
I think the whole world was shocked when they lost that game. To be honest,
I was shocked when your Giants beat the 18-0 Patriots. Shocked. Still don't really know how that happened.
I wasn't shocked about that at all.
Well,
because after they lost that last game and you saw how winnable that game was for the Giants, I wasn't shocked at all. I mean, I actually picked the Giants to win that game, and being a Giant fan, of course, I'm probably going to pick the Giants. You got your blue
glasses on with that one. At 99, everyone outside of Giants Nation was stunned by that outcome, Brad.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, I was not.
I was stunned. Okay, let's skip that one because I'm not getting into a giant rabbit hole with you. I was stunned when the Patriots beat the greatest show on turf in 2001.
I was stunned with that one too.
With Tom Brady as a little baby, and that was his first comeback and his first ring. first of 7. The Niners beating the Packers and how that happened was right up there with those 3 for me.
When the weather's bad like that, though, it takes the passing game away. I mean, that's the one thing. When it's snowing like that and the weather got worse and worse, a lot of things can change. Not everybody is like the Eagles were that one game against the Lions a few years ago with snowstorms. I'm sure you know which game I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was at that game against the Lions. LaShawn McCoy did the franchise record rushing day.
I've never seen a team play so great offensively in the snow as the Eagles did that game.
Nick
that was
Foles,
an unbelievable game.
But I mean, I was just stunned. And then, Jimmy G. All everyone wants to do is hate on Jimmy G and tell me how he sucks. Guy's 36-15 as a starter.
No, I don't hate Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G just knows how to win, and I think he is a game manager. But I think he's a good game manager. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's clutch. And he's got the clutch gene, and when he needs to make a big play, he makes a big play. I do think they're up against it this time with Los Angeles, though. Los Angeles, I mean, that game against the Buccaneers was unbelievable.
And the Rams outclassed Tampa. The Rams just kept making mistake after mistake to give Brady life.
They kept giving
baffled me.
They kept giving Akers the damn ball. I mean, that should have stopped.
I mean, Kupp fumbled, Akers fumbled twice. They finally get the strip sack on Brady, and you're finally like, thank God, we killed him. He's dead. And then they snap the ball 15 yards over Matthew Stafford's head, and it gives Brady another chance.
Right, and then Brady finally did tie it up. But
and then they blew the coverage on Kupp, and then they kicked the field. First off, good. You got to start putting some respect on Matthew Stafford's name.
I've never not respected Matthew.
Yeah, but
Stafford.
people do. You see social media.
I like Matthew Stafford. I've always liked Matthew Stafford.
People do because he out-Brady'd Brady yesterday.
Yes, he did.
The only reason he doesn't have as many playoff wins as some of these other guys is because he was on the freaking Lions for all them years.
Exactly.
You stink. Sorry, Don, but you wasted Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
wasted him.
They did. And boy, oh boy, what a great pass he made to Cooper Kupp, and what a great play. Cooper Kupp. I was saying it last night. You know what? If somebody other than a quarterback is going to be an MVP, I think they should give it to him because, first of all, he won the Triple Crown for receiving, and I mean he did it all. He did it all. I mean, for a receiver to make Odell Beckham a number receiver 2, you gotta be pretty darn good. And he's unbelievable. I mean, the guy catches literally everything.
I mean, McVay, he knows how to push Odell's buttons. I mean, he got Odell involved early and often because he knows Cooper Kupp is just gonna, take what the defense gives him and you'll get him involved.
Always wanted to play for the Rams. That's the one thing he never made any. He made no bones about that. That's the team he wanted to play for, and the Giants were not going to let that happen. The Giants were kind of like, well, if you don't want to play for us, we're going to send you to Siberia, aka the Rams.
Like he wanted to get traded to the Rams when he got traded to Cleveland.
He had wanted to go to the Rams for a long time.
Is he from there? Why the Rams?
I don't know what the deal is, but he wanted to play. He wanted to play for the Rams. He had always mentioned that. He had said it a million times that he wanted to play there. And I don't know if the Rams were really interested in him, but boy, for the Rams to get him basically for nothing and not have to pay the contract, that's just unbelievable. You have him and Kupp, and if you don't pay attention to him, he can take it. He can still take it the distance, Beckham. So you got those guys, and their tight end is a stud.
Higbee, yeah, he's pretty good too. So now you got an NFC title game, NFC West showdown.
No way San Francisco beats them 3 times in a row. No way.
Why?
Because the Rams defense this time is when they get ahead. If they get ahead 17-0, they're not going to go to sleep again. There's no way that's going to happen. I think they learned their lesson against against the Bucks, and they're going to be all over it. I mean, their defense the last 2 weeks against the Cardinals.
But like I always hear that. I heard the Monday morning quarterback crew talking about it. Like, I don't think they can beat him 3 times. Like, why not? They already beat him twice.
Yeah, but I don't think they're a better team. That's the whole thing. I think both games were upsets, and really the Rams never should have lost that second game to the
but they did.
No, I know they did, but they shouldn't have. They had.
Well, the Rams are favored by 3.5. I'm going to reluctantly pick the Rams here.
Yeah, I think the Rams.
Reluctantly.
I think the Rams are on a big time roll now.
But like, I think the Rams have a better quarterback. I think the Niners have a better coach. I think the Niners have a better defense, and I think the Rams have a better offense.
I don't know about that. I mean, look, the 49ers have a really good defense. I'll give you that. The Rams defense is really good as well. I think the Rams have too much talent not to get into the Super Bowl.
There's a lot of talent, like Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm not saying that the 49ers don't have a lot of talent, but the Rams are really loaded. I mean, they really are.
I know you got Odell, Kupp, Stafford.
Make sure you hand the ball off to Sony Michel, and don't give the ball to Akers again, because
Akers is a better player than Sony Michel. I know he messed up.
Fumbler.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
I don't know. You know what? If Parcells was coaching that team, he wouldn't be touching the ball. He'd be out of the damn game.
But I think that Akers being 6 months off an Achilles and he's the lead back essentially tells you all you need to know about what McVay thinks of Akers as a player.
Well, he was getting the job done, but those 2 fumbles, I mean, especially the one that ended the first half, that was unbelievable. He fumbled at the 1 yard line.
I'll tell you what, the Rams better not be snapping the ball.
Yeah, they do that against San Francisco, then they're going
to lose.
Yeah, they won't get away with that.
I'm shocked they made that many mistakes and were able to beat Brady.
Well, they were ahead 27-3 at the time. So you can understand why they blew a 17-0 lead, because when they got the big lead, they couldn't stand prosperity and they started getting careless with the ball. And that had better not happen.
I don't know.
You know, if that happens, then you can't get careless with the ball.
Excuse me. The line's 3.5, Brad. Are you laying the lumber?
I would take the Rams. I think the Rams are ready to get there.
I'm going to take the Rams as well. So I got the Rams and the Bengals.
I'll tell you what, though, it is kind of interesting to think, could the Bengals and the 49ers have a rematch? Because we've already had that Super Bowl twice.
Yeah, twice, because I know it was 88.
Well, at 1980 when Kenny Anderson played against Joe Montana. Or was it 81?
80 was the Eagles and the Raiders.
81. It was 81. Montana faced Kenny Anderson.
So a little throwback to the 80s.
Yep. And I believe that was a real close game, as I recall. So that would be interesting if Cincinnati did get to the Super Bowl and they ended up playing the 49ers again. They'd be saying to themselves, what is it? Every time we get to the Super Bowl, you're there? I mean, no matter what decade, you think about it, 1981, then 1980, then 1989, and then 2022. I mean, seriously? They'd probably be thinking. I'm just saying that would be pretty interesting. But it's going to take a lot for that to happen. But you never know. It could.
Then you also, Bill Middlebrook, Rams win it all this year at home. I mean, the Rams are in a very advantageous position because they're going to have the NFC Championship at SoFi Stadium, their home field, and the Super Bowl is also at SoFi Stadium, their home field. So the Rams.
That's pretty interesting, though, isn't it? That they're going to get the home field.
And Tampa won on their home field last year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So now we're going to have teams that didn't happen for 55 years, and now you're going to have 2 in a row maybe win on their home field.
Yeah, that could easily happen.
Don 19 could be Chiefs Niners, second time in 3 years. Absolutely.
Yeah, it could be.
Absolutely could be.
It could be. I mean, there's some interesting. There could be some interesting matchups. I think everybody's probably looking at LA, and I'm sure that they're looking at LA and Kansas City as their. The NFL would probably be wanting that matchup, but in the Super Bowl, everybody watches the Super Bowl anyway. So I don't know that that's. I mean, do you think it really would matter who's playing?
No.
With the ratings, yeah, everybody watches the Super Bowl.
No.
So
Joseph Orkowski, he's got Rams and Chiefs and cakewalks. I don't know. I don't think either game's going to be a cakewalk.
No,
the Bengals just beat the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. They put up 35 on them.
That's right.
I know it was in Cincinnati, and now it's going to be in Kansas City. But
what happens? What happens if the honey badger doesn't play? I mean, you saw what happened to the Chiefs against Buffalo. They couldn't stop them at all.
I don't think the Bengals are going to have any problem scoring points at all.
No, they won't. They won't. The question is, can the Bengals make enough defensive stops against Kansas City? That's going to be the question. And the Bengals are going to need to run the ball a little bit to save their defense from being on the field too long. Because that ultimately is what killed Buffalo, in my opinion, is that because there was a lack of a running game, and Josh Allen, they had to completely depend on Josh Allen the whole game. I think that they ended up letting Kansas City be owning the football and possessing it way too long. So that's something Cincinnati's going to have to be careful of. But all in all, I mean, I'll tell you what, that was probably the best weekend of playoff football I've ever seen. That was really, really, that was. I'll tell you, you know what? There was one weekend. I think the year that the Browns played the 49ers, and the 49ers fumbled.
You mean the Broncos?
No. When the Browns played the Broncos and the Browns fumbled.
That was like 84, right?
Yeah, and the 49ers, I think, who did the 49ers beat that year? I can't remember now. But
it's going way back, right?
Yeah, that was a very exciting game too, as I recall, their championship game. So I mean, you've had, but when you have 4 games, all 4 of them end. All 4 games end on the last play of the game are decided. That's just the NFL's got to be just gleaming about that.
Bill Middlebrook, Brad, the Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2022 gets announced tomorrow. Is Roger Clemens going to be on that list? Bill Middlebrook wants to know. I don't think they're going to let him in.
I mean, he should. Let's put it this way. I think the key is going to be what's going to happen with Ortiz. If Ortiz gets in, then the entire steroid group should get voted in. If he doesn't get voted in, then then it could go on for a long time with this stuff. You know what? At this point, either you let all the guys in or you don't let them all in. But you can't put Ortiz in and then not put Clemens in or not put A-Rod in.
Well, I mean, Ortiz is also a designated hitter, so he only played half the game.
I understand that, but he one of the great clutch hitters of all time as well.
I'm looking at.
I hate Ortiz, and I think if I'm one of those anti-steroid guys. If you did steroids, you cheated. You shouldn't get in. And one of my favorite Yankees of all time, who has over 500 lifetime home runs, he's never going to get in because of it, and that's Gary Sheffield.
Yeah, certainly has the numbers.
500 lifetime.
As a Phillies, it's Clemens' last year of eligibility. That's why Bill Middlebrook's asking.
Well, they could get in on the old timers committee.
I don't think the old timers are doing anything with steroids, but I mean, as a Philly, like I got my guy Jimmy Rollins. I think he should get in, and I hope he does.
I think he will get in. I don't think he's going to get in on the first.
See, now here we go. He's not a first ballot guy, but he's a second ballot guy. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer.
It's a respect thing. A lot of times, certain guys, it used to be, and I don't know if it still is, but it used to be unless you were just had a superior stat line, they weren't going to put you into the first round. Okay, if you had like a stat line like Mariano or Jeter, those kind of stat lines, they're going to put you in the first shot. But guys that a lot of people think might be on the edge, it's questionable as to whether they do it or not.
Stupid.
No,
either a Hall of Famer or not.
Well, listen, some guys don't get into their 10th opportunity. I mean, I think Curt Schilling should be a Hall of Famer.
And if you have to wait 10 times to get voted in, then you're not a Hall of Famer.
Well, I think,
in my opinion.
Listen, not that I like Curt Schilling either. I can't stand the guy, but the guy was a great pitcher. I mean, 216 wins just because he didn't win 300, big deal. I mean, that's all because they don't like him personally, and that's that
goes into it too.
Yeah, I know.
I think Todd Helton should get in.
Oh, Todd Helton is definitely a Hall of Famer. I would agree with that. His stats were ridiculous.
So let's look at it because we got no Fight Zone tonight. Let's wrap up with this 2022 MLB Hall of Fame. I think Bonds
should be in the Hall of Fame because you know what? Even if he didn't do roids, guy was a great player.
Like Andrew Jones, no. First-year candidate. So Howard's on the ballot, but he's not good enough. I think Jonathan Papelbon should get in. Jonathan Papelbon, he is the all-time saves leader for both the Phillies and the Boston Red Sox. I think that should carry some weight, especially with how bullpens get emphasized these days.
How many lifetime saves did he have?
I don't have it. I just have a list in front of me. Here. When we have more time, we'll look at it more
Lee
closer.
Smith got in, right?
Yes.
And maybe he might get in.
So I got.
I don't think he gets in. I don't think he's another guy that nobody likes though, so I can't see him getting in the first.
So
week.
I'm letting Bonds in. I'm letting Clemens in. I'm voting for Jimmy. I'm voting for Papelbon, and I'm voting for Helton. Like Lincecum and Ortiz, Ortiz will never get my vote because he's DH, and that's ridiculous.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that assessment with the DH thing because I don't think DH.
But I mean, he'll probably get the votes to get in.
I think if Ortiz gets in, then all these other steroid guys should get in.
Carl Crawford, no.
He was on
Prince Fielder, no.
He was on that report that he was on the same report that leaked about.
Well, you know my criteria.
Yeah,
if you serve the suspension for steroids, like Alex Rodriguez did twice, Manny Ramirez did twice. But if you get caught doing them, okay. If you get caught doing them, you did them, whether you're suspended or not. If you did them, you did them. You cheated. If you didn't cheat, you didn't cheat. And that's to me that's. But if you have a test, a tangible evidence that you cheated, not some bullshit report that said you might have did it or you bought supplements from this guy over here.
But that report, for all practical purposes, that report outed a lot of guys. So we'll see. I mean, look, you could make the same argument.
I would vote for Sheffield.
You could make the same thing about Andy Pettitte. Andy Pettitte used roids, but he was using roids when he was injured. But he still got busted because he was using roids.
Is Pettitte? Does he have the numbers for the Hall of Fame?
Have you seen his playoff numbers?
Okay, I hear you.
220 wins, and I think he had 18 playoff wins, if I'm not mistaken. He had two very noticeable losses against the Arizona Diamondbacks in when was it, 2001? But he was a really good playoff performer.
Like Scott Rowland, he's not a Hall of Famer.
No, I wouldn't put him in.
Andrew Jones, Mark Teixeira, no. Ryan Howard.
Teixeira really kind of faded at the end. Yeah, I would agree.
Howard just didn't have the longevity.
No.
Maybe the greatest 5-6 year stretch, maybe in baseball history.
Well, you know what though? If you put here's my argument for Ryan Howard. If you're going to make an argument for Ryan Howard, okay? And I'm going to use I don't know how many of you guys know who Ralph Kiner is, but Ralph Kiner had a short career. It was like maybe I think 8 or 9 years, and he played with the last place team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. But he slugged like 370, 380 home runs in that time, and won a couple of home run championships. He's in the Hall of Fame. So if he's in the Hall of Fame, why not Ryan Howard? Okay, I'm making your argument for you, Philly fans. See, I don't know. I don't always stick up for Philadelphia, but I'm just being honest here. So you can't say I'm not being creditable. Okay.
All right. We gotta get out of here though. We're over time. No Flight Zone tonight. We'll be back here next Monday, 7:30. Sports Hounds, early Super Bowl preview, breaking down the games. Thank you to our great sponsors. Thank you to everyone who liked, subscribed the show. Thank you to everyone who commented on the show. Thank you to Ralphie and Frank who both produced the show tonight. Until next week, peace out, everybody.